Welcome to everyone, our guests. Thank you for being here. I'll call this meeting to order on January 25th, 2022, and I'll ask our city clerk to please call roll.
Commissioner Galt? Present. Commissioner Guest?
Present.
Commissioner Henderson? Present. Commissioner Wilson? Present. Mayor Bray?
Present. Okay, Commissioner Galt, you're going to do the invocation, and then we have a special guest who's going to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please bow with me. Father God, we come before you tonight to thank you for our many blessings and to give thanks for the ability to assemble. We come together to continue the work of improving our city. We pray for discernment and peace as we do our business on behalf of our community. We ask that your hand lead and guide us in these decisions, and in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Excellent. She's got some guts, too. Okay, City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mayor, this evening we do have one deletion, and that is the new employee introduction. Because of unforeseen circumstance, Ms. Reason will not be able to join us tonight, and we'll have her at a future meeting to introduce the formal introduction.
Okay. All right, well, I'm anxious to have her introduced to the community, so better be safe, though.
Yep.
Okay, the next item on the agenda for tonight is a celebration of Catholic Schools Week 2022. And we have with us Ashley Wright, Director of Advancement for St. Mary's School System. And Ashley, I'll read this. So I have a proclamation. We did this last year too, as I recall.
I think we did, yes.
Okay. So, whereas St. Mary's School System has, since 1858, continuously provided the highest caliber of academic and moral development to those students which they serve for the mutual benefit of every citizen, and whereas Paducah Catholic educators have, throughout our city's history, dedicated and used their talents toward the development of a responsible and spiritually motivated citizenship in preparation for their responsibilities as residents of this city and as members of society. And whereas those students who have been educated in the St. Mary's School System have addressed themselves to the pressing social and moral issues of our day that evoke the fullest measure of the spiritual wealth of our country, and whereas, with the theme Catholic Schools, Faith, Excellence, Service, Catholic schools across the nation are celebrating National Catholic Schools Week from January 30th to February 5th, 2022. Now, therefore, I, George Bray, Mayor of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim next week as Catholic Schools Week in the City of Paducah, and I commend this observance to all of our citizens. And I'm a proud graduate of St. Mary High School and very proud to bestow this proclamation. Thank you.
Can I get your pictures over here? Let me just...
Sure.
Keep that.
You do? It's yours. Come back here just a little closer.
Center, front center then.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for being here. Okay, before we get into the meat of the agenda tonight, I got a couple things I wanted to talk about. First of all, yesterday morning, I started my day at 7:45 at McNabb School. I was invited there by the principal, Teresa Spann, to talk with the students about listening. You know, one of the 7 habits, listen to others, seek to understand, and so I spoke to the entire school, which is K through 5th grade. Of course, I was on Teams, I was on video, but I was struck, the work that Teresa, the principal, Rona Knox, the guidance counselor, and really all the teachers, the work that they do there. And I know we have great educators all over the city, in the city school system, but I was struck at how positive the environment was there and how much they look after those kids and, support them. And it was really a very uplifting experience for my day yesterday. So I just thought I'd call that out and talk a little bit about it. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be there. The second thing I want to talk about is the Quilt Show coming up. It's that time of the year, and the city manager, Darren Jordan, and I, along with Michelle Campbell at the Convention Center, met with the owners of the Quilt Show. It's the new owners. They've just taken over in the last 6 months, and it's a couple of young businessmen, James Mitchell and Bill Schrader, the grandson of Mr. Schrader, and they've got big plans. They just opened up registration today, and they've already set a one-day record for registration. So early it looks like it's going to be good. So we're real excited. We got a lot of new people in the room. A lot of, I'm new. I've never been through a quilt show before as mayor. Darren's new. Nick's new. We just got, and the Schraders are the new owners of the Quilt Show are new. So we're kind of feeling our way through this. And so we had an outstanding meeting. One of the things that, I saw on TV last night, there was a story about the bubble. And the bubble is, it was, I don't even know the whole history of the bubble, but I know that we have to have it up for the Quilt Show. They have so many vendors that the convention center itself, will not hold all the vendors. So we have to have the bubble. So in a discussion today with the convention center, we worked out an agreement to go forward to help them with the bubble and to make sure that we're all in this together to make sure that the Quilt Show. I told the Quilt Show owners that our goal was really to help make them as successful as we possibly can. And our Quilt Show, I learned a lot today. I mean, they run other quilt shows. This is not the only one they run, but this is the largest and the most successful. And it's very unique because it's in a town the size of ours where when they come in and they bring 30,000 people in here, the hotels fill up instantly and they're full, within everywhere for a 50-mile radius. So it's very unique, and so we're really excited to have the Quilt Show back this year. It's a real economic driver for our community for that period of time. Some people leave town during that period of time because they've got a lot of people driving around on the streets. But we're looking forward to having hopefully as many as 30,000 visitors to Paducah come April. So I just want to talk a little bit about those two things before we got started on the agenda tonight. So We'll start with the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The city clerk will read the items recommended for approval. Would any commissioner like an item removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion? Okay, so I'll ask the city clerk to read the items recommended for approval.
Approve minutes for the January 11, 2022 Paducah Board of Commissioners meeting. Reappointment of Mark Workman to the Electric Plant Board. This term shall expire February 6, 2026. Personnel actions, a municipal order accepting the donation of real property located at 1219, 1223, 1225, and 1227 Tennessee Street and 726 South 13th Street from Tent City Mission and Burnett Rental Properties to the City of Paducah, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed consideration certificate. A municipal order approving a fleet maintenance motorized equipment and emergency apparatus service agreement with Paxton Park to provide fleet maintenance services at hourly rates and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same. A municipal order approving a fleet maintenance motorized equipment and emergency apparatus service agreement with Reedland Farley Fire Protection District to provide fleet maintenance services at hourly rates and authorizing the execution of all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the application for and acceptance of an FY 2023 highway safety grant in the amount of $32,503 through the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for overtime pay for officers and the purchase of 4 Python 3 radar units, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same.
So move.
Second.
Call roll, please.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye. Okay, so tonight we have one ordinance to introduce, and I'll let the city clerk read it, and then Rick's here to answer any questions we might have.
A proposed motion, the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance providing for the closing of 284.77 feet of Polk Street and 620.95 feet of Otis Denning Drive, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents related to same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. That the City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closing of 284.77 feet of Polk Street and 620.95 feet of Otis Denning Drive, and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the City of Paducah to the property owner in or abutting the public way to be closed.
So moved.
Second.
Those are the 1,000 words. Let me give you the picture. Okay, Mayor, Commission, this is the property we're talking about right here. This is Tillman High School, Washington Street, along the front of Tillman High School. This is the property, Otis Denning Drive, that's going down, that is basically serving the school for its basketball events, and then these properties here. But with the school expanding and starting their Head Start program, they're actually going to be building a brand-new building right here for their Head Start program. So this road is going to be serving nothing other than the school and the independent school systems. So, and they want to expand it to provide better parking for the events, as well as their needs during or once the building is built. So we're favorable of letting them do that. They have bought all the properties over here for that construction.
Okay.
So that's the only owner. And then these over here on Polk Street, that will remain open in that area right there. Can I zoom in on that? Oh, I can't zoom in on that. But that's what the words are describing.
Yeah, that head, how large is that building going to be, that Head Start building? Do you know?
I'd be scared to just say, I mean, a block is 350 feet long, so this block here is about 350 feet, and I would say 275 feet long across that, and then probably about 120 feet deep.
Face Washington?
Actually, the building is going to face Otis Denning. It's going to face, Commissioner, Wilson, this area right here, because this is where they're going to have a bus drop-off that's going to come in and then roundabout and go back, and then other parking that's in here. So there's a lot of activity as far as site work that's going to go in for their circulation of their traffic. But physically facing, it's going to face this road right here, or this parking area right here, which will be facing this, the campus itself.
Great progress.
Okay, any questions for Rick? Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Appreciate it. Okay, so that's the only ordinance we had to introduce tonight. So I'll set this up for our Assistant City Manager, Michelle Smolin. She's going to talk about, give us an update on our commission priorities, how much progress we've made, and I think it's going to lead into our upcoming retreat, where we kind of break out and talk about what we've accomplished, not only in 2021, but really how we're going to prioritize things in 2022. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioner, City Manager, Mayor. I'm thrilled to be here tonight to talk about the progress we've made on the current commission priorities, and then that will lead very well into the commission priority setting on February 4th and 5th for the new year. So as a reminder, all of this is available online. It walks through the whole process from the retreat in February to set the 12 commission priorities. And then for transparency and communication, we have quarterly updates that we place online at paducahky.gov/commission priorities. That goes into greater detail about what we're going to talk about tonight. And then our communications manager, Pam Spencer, has also created web pages for every action item with more information. And so tonight, we're going to give the annual update. There is a lot more information available in that report, so I'm just going to hit the high notes to talk about what we have accomplished and then kind of the ongoing tasks for you to consider as we move into the priority setting session. So I will start with 911 and the radio tower upgrades and operational funding. So we did establish a memorandum of understanding with the county. We received the federal engineering report that updates the capital needs, costs, and options, and we also received a portable radio grant that will reduce the cost of the project by approximately $300,000. The Joint Oversight Committee is ongoing. We got that committee up and running this month, which of course Commissioner Galt is on that committee, and they're going to be looking at the system upgrades, funding options, and the governing structure. So there's still some work to do there.
And I think you all chose did you choose a chairman?
We selected a chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Kevin Caulfield
Okay.
is chairing that committee, and we've met twice. And yesterday, we all left with several questions to be emailed to the chairman, and they're going to get in contact with federal engineering. And we made a lot of progress yesterday. I felt like we didn't. What about you, Chief? Yeah,
That's a big thumbs up from the back of the room.
there you go. Big thumbs up. So I was really pleased that we're covering a lot of ground fast.
It sounds like we've got a good group, and so it's awesome. Okay.
Okay. The next priority is the outdoor sports facility. So similar to the 911 priority, we did establish a memorandum of understanding with the fiscal court and the Sports Tourism Commission. We did commit to being equal partners with financing the design, development, construction, operation, and maintenance costs for the facility. The MOU also outlines that each government will provide $12.5 million towards the construction. Continuing with outdoor sports facilities, the Sports Tourism Commission also did select Sports Facilities Company for the development, design, and ongoing management of the complex. And they also held an open house for the public to start to look at the design. So that is an ongoing project. We do have city staff that's attending the Sports Commission meetings, and then there will be impact to some of our recreational facilities that will be upcoming decisions.
I know you weren't able, Commissioner Wilson, to attend the meeting.
I can't tomorrow. I
Oh,
did
it's
attend the
tomorrow,
last
that's right,
meeting.
okay. So, Amy, you're going to be at the meeting tomorrow? Okay.
I know the next step, though, is the interlocal agreement between the city and county. I don't know where I don't think anything has been done on that yet that I'm aware of. Are you all?
No,
Okay.
hadn't heard a thing, but I heard somebody was working on it, but I haven't seen a draft or anything.
Great, okay. With housing, we have transferred 4 surplus properties for residential development. The Paducah Alliance of Neighbors has completed 3 homes in Fountain Avenue. And last time, at the quarterly report in October, the board really talked about initiating conversations with developers for infill development. So Planning Department took that direction and has initiated those conversations, obviously in the very early stages. We have the Dunlap Apartments redevelopment project that's ongoing, and then we did fund a portion of the Salvation Army survey on transitional housing in our community, so that work is ongoing as well.
Yeah, so I can give you an update, a quick update on the Salvation Army study. They're getting to the end of it, and they actually had a call with me earlier this week to kind of go over the direction of where their recommendations are going to be. And so they have to finalize them. But I would just say from a 50,000-foot level, this group that's doing this study is thinking through it, extremely well. I know that one of their recommendations, their very first recommendation, is to really determine what the number of homeless people we have in Paducah. I mean, nobody's really got a count. And so, I mean, I think they're going to recommend that we're going to have to get out there and really try to understand that.
How would we do that, Mayor? How would we determine how many homeless people?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think we're probably going to have to go out and talk. We're going to have to go out and I'm not sure. I've never done it myself, but I think before we would commit, any sizable money from the community, to build a long-term solution, that we would need to try to figure that out. So I would imagine that a group of us would get together, put our heads together, and strategize about how we would do that. And maybe there's somebody out there that can help us. But I think it's our community, and what I heard from them was it's our community. You guys need to make sure that you know what you got. And then there were some other recommendations, relative to the Salvation Army themselves, what role they were going to play. And so, again, they haven't finalized it, but I have, and they were just kind of showing me some of the recommendations on screen. They hadn't shared a copy yet. They didn't want to because they were still working on it. Okay. So.
Well, that was my next question is, I guess you've just been meeting with them and they've just been sharing with you, because none of the rest of us have received any reports. None of us who have been a part of the survey that they took has heard anything back yet. Right.
They made contact with me first to give me a little, kind of firsthand look at what some of the early recommendations might be and get my input. And so I'm sure you'll be hearing something soon. So, and then relative to housing, with potential partner developers, I think that one of the things that maybe as a commission we probably should think about is what kind of financial incentives that we might be willing to put forth to assist developers in certain areas of town. And I don't have a suggestion or an answer, but I do think that we're probably going to, because over the past, I don't know, I've seen the number, with Paducah Alliance of Neighbors, I know that over the last 10 or 12 years, we've provided several $100,000 of incentives for them to build in that Fountain Avenue area. And so I think we're going to need to think about that in other areas of town.
And one thing, too, is, and of course, our planning director can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are working on a case study research of housing incentives that could help the board, determine which direction they'd like to head. So I think they're right in line with you on considering some incentives.
Okay, sounds good.
I also think that should be for all price ranges of housing. I know you're talking about all geographical areas. I think it should be moderate to higher, to subdivisions, to whatever we can get into the city to help the population.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. I have to think about that, that one.
Well, I mean, there are some nice subdivisions that are in the city because of the infill incentives.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're still doing those actively. We haven't approved any in a while. So,
Well, I think those usually come when developers are, I think, developing a new subdivision where there's new opportunity, and I'm not aware of any, going in right now. I haven't seen any.
but could we encourage them to help them find location? And
If there's land,
we could
yeah.
identify some land
Yeah.
and encourage them, maybe offer some incentives. I think that we should be actively doing that.
okay, we can talk about that as well.
I believe, Commissioner, that the conversations in the planning department, as those come up, that they are having those high-level conversations at this time with,
Good.
across all aspects. And then earlier tonight in your consent agenda, there were several properties that you approved donation. That also opens up a large swath of a block that potentially for development there as well in that area. That can be part of that incentive discussion.
Let's build.
Okay?
You got the hammer?
Well, that flows in well to the next item with annexation and planned growth. So of course, we had annexation incentives that were adopted by the Board of Commissioners. We had one annexation in 2021, and then the planning staff is working with the city manager's office to develop an annexation strategy for next steps. With Fire Station 4 and Parks Building, there's a lot of ongoing work here. We are working with local architecture firm PFGW on the design of the Civic Center, and we'll actually have a more robust update for the board at an upcoming commission meeting. But really, we're looking at the banquet space, catering space, and offices for the Parks and Recreation staff. And we recently held meetings with stakeholders and users of the building to get their feedback so that we make sure we're incorporating their needs into the design as well. So we'll get much more in the detail of that feedback at, like I said, a meeting in February is our goal. We are also working with the senior center because they are in the, Parks building now. So we're working with them on, us moving out. Our maintenance facility is still there. Our maintenance crews are still there. And then with Fire Station 4, we are still reviewing potential property acquisitions for future Fire Station 4 replacements. So a lot of that work is ongoing.
So my understanding is the senior center has honed in on a location, or getting close to honing in on a location. They're pretty serious, about that. So, I'm pleased, that that's moving along. So we're making great progress there.
Okay. When you said a meeting about the Civic Center, does that include people like the caterers that use it and event planners?
It did.
I think there's just a perception out there that it's just, they're not going to be able to continue to use it.
And that is part of the design and part of the implementation, and we'll have Jeff Cantor here at our February 8th meeting to discuss that, but there was a large number of stakeholders individually that were contacted, and caterers were part of that, and then also those that have been users of that facility to get that input, and it was valuable input, and it gives us opportunity before we come up with get past the 50% design aspect of it to incorporate their suggestions. And so Jeff will be here we're planning on February 8th meeting for that
Good.
update.
With downtown, we did have net 12 new businesses. So we had some business growth in downtown, which is great to see. We did get the Entertainment Destination Center up and running, and the TIF district was approved by the state in March. The downtown business survey was complete, which are some of, like I said, the high level. There's a lot more that happened downtown in the year, but these are very high level bullets. And then, of course, ongoing, I really focused on city blocks. So we have 75% construction design drawings complete. And just as a reminder, the city has committed $3 million for the construction of the public facilities, that town square area.
So there's a lot going on in
There's a
downtown,
lot going on downtown.
you know, and Commissioner Galt just was telling me before the meeting about, you want to talk about what you just said?
Which part?
About the, on 6th, or 600 block of Broadway?
Oh, yeah, there've been some sales and people from Nashville, I think, have come and purchased property and are building condominiums, and there's been like 3 buildings right there in that 600 block that have sold within, I would say, the last month. So the development's going on up. It's increasing, getting further up Broadway, as opposed to just right down in that basic area. So that was exciting to me.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's
really
Right.
exciting.
It's exciting.
Okay.
One of the priorities was communication enhancement. This is another area where we saw a lot of work this year, so I picked some high-level bullets to share. So we did launch a new email marketing platform. We started with live meetings on Facebook for the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners. We also held 3 media lunches and 2 industry lunches to really continue to build those relationships. And then one thing that is neat that we'd never done before is we have started wrapping solid waste vehicles, highlighting our curbside recycling program to promote it. Now, what's ongoing here is exciting. Our communications manager is upgrading our website and looking for, there's new themes and some different enhancements that will be on the website. And then we'll also be promoting our online services because we are rolling out an app and an online portal where you can actually request city services. So it's another way to connect with the city. It's another way for us to manage those requests and make sure that we're following through and communicating well with our community that has service requests of the city. And that's been led by our CX director, Lindsay Parrish. And so that will be launching tomorrow. And we will have news releases and more information on how to actually use the app and how to access the portal. So that's very exciting and has been a long time coming.
Yeah, what's that app called?
My Civic.
My Civic. Okay.
I got that right, Lindsay? My Civic. I've been using it. I've been one of the guinea pigs to submit service requests, and so far it's been a positive experience.
So Michelle and I had a conversation, I think this last week. We were talking about, sometimes if you don't measure something, you really don't know how well you do. So I think we ought to, at some point in time, have a goal, how many apps we want to get, how many apps we want to get downloaded out in the city and get people to using it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be very advantageous, if people have something that they would like to communicate with us about, they don't want to call down here.
Right.
So.
Right. One thing I'm personally excited for is a brush pickup. You can actually request brush pickup from the app, so I plan to use that at my home.
Uh-oh. Get ready.
That's right. But no, and to your point, we'll have ongoing, it's not going to be a one-time. We'll continue to promote it and encourage people to use these platforms as well.
Okay. Great.
With our city facilities, we did implement a new policy similar to our fleet trust fund, and we seeded it with $200,000 from the FY22 budget. City Manager's Office and Public Works has really been working on prioritizing those with the directors, and we think this will lead in well to the FY23 budget conversation, because obviously we have many more projects than we can fund. So we're going to be talking about funding and how we can really move to implementation, how we can start working through upgrading our facilities. With the remote workers incentive, we did adopt the board adopted the program at the August meeting, and we funded $100,000. We have enrolled 8 applicants into the program, and we have actually awarded 1 remote worker with their incentive package. Our highest interest markets have been Atlanta, Chicago, and Houston, which is interesting. And so we'll continue to market the incentive, and our goal is 25 remote workers. So that work will be ongoing.
We've enrolled 8 applicants, but only awarded actually 1 incentive package so far. So does that mean that 7 are in evaluation?
What I believe it means is that it takes time, if they have to move here and there's some different criteria that they have to hit, that just takes some time, when they're eligible for it. We say, yes, you're eligible, but then they actually have to get in city limits and that type of thing. Is that accurate? Yeah.
I talked to Mayor Gail Kaler today, and she was telling me she sees in her business, she's seeing all these people that are moving into the community. She was very excited about it. She said she'd never seen anything like it.
Wow.
So there's a lot of movement out there. And
All the more reason for housing in the
Right.
city.
that was the lead-in for you to pop back in on housing. Right.
Great, okay. With stormwater, we did designate $4 million from the ARPA funds for stormwater projects, and then we worked with our consultant to identify individual projects. We have the Buckner Lane Bridge project ongoing, where we were able to expand the scope to include some stormwater enhancements. And then we have South 25th and 24th Street, where we were able to expand that scope as well, and we have about a 4-acre detention area that we're looking at. So we were able to add stormwater to those projects. With minority inclusion, we do have inclusion training scheduled for city employees. Commissioner Henderson was talking about this with me and the city manager and had some great feedback. We have a fantastic trainer coming in, and he had some great feedback on how we could make sure that it is specific to our organization, relevant to our team. So the board is invited to that, and we've also included the Paducah Diversity Advisory Board that is invited to attend that as well. We have been analyzing our demographics, and I believe the mayor has been participating in the Minority Entrepreneur and Small Business Roundtable. So we'll continue to implement inclusive hiring tactics, and then the Paducah Diversity Advisory Board meetings are ongoing. Okay. Southside, it was a busy year for us with Southside enhancements. So of course we had 2 live stream meetings at soirees, a Southside business where over 180 city and county residents attended. We completed the Rise and Shine Neighborhood Beautification Celebration, where you can see some of the incredible numbers and staff work that went on there. We have narrowed it into 5 areas of development. And then our engineering department has done some capital work over on the south side with Bridge Street, where they've done paving, striping, sidewalks. And on the ongoing projects, you can see that they're also working on South 9th as well. And the steering committee has been identified, and their first meeting is actually planned for next week to get that committee off the ground. And so this committee will really be facilitating community engagement and informing policy and programming decisions. So we're excited to get that committee launched as well.
So they've all agreed to serve?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
So we have the bond proceeds, and these are the 6 items that the board originally talked about during the commission priority setting that would like to be eligible for use of the bond proceeds.
Say that again?
When we had the commission priority setting, we identified 6 projects that we would consider for bond proceeds.
Oh, okay.
So of course, we've talked about the airport and the outdoor recreation facility. These were the other 4 that were to be considered, which that work is ongoing, especially around 911 and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So for next steps, that was, as I mentioned, a update on what we have achieved and the work that's ongoing. We have the 2022 commission priorities setting for February 4th and 5th. It will be here in City Hall. The directors and leadership team members will participate to give you all some additional information to consider as you move into priority setting on Saturday.
So you want to talk a little bit about how we're going to maybe just give everybody a heads up what we're talking about in terms of how to balance between the projects that we've been working on versus potential new projects.
Yeah. So, city manager, okay. So one thing that we have, 'cause as you can see in the commission priorities, there's a lot of ongoing work, and we have had some successes. So one criteria we'll be considering is a new category called continuous improvement, where if it's not one of the top 10 or 12 for the board that they really would like the team to focus on, there's an opportunity to move it into continuous improvement where the focus will remain on it. It will still stay in city operations, but it's not necessarily one of the 10 or 12 that will really, highlight and focus on and bring regular updates back for. So this allows us to keep these priorities moving, but I know the mayor mentioned also bringing not wanting to stop new ideas coming forward too that they would like the organization to focus on.
Yeah, I'm hoping all of us will come to the meeting with, an idea for something different for 2022, that we maybe didn't emphasize in 2021, and then we'll work through that and try to prioritize them.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Any comments, City Manager?
Mayor, just want to continuously recognize the hard work of our team. If you heard tonight, there's been a lot of activities that's gone on. I've had the honor and privilege to be a part of, a small part of that for the last 6 months, and I can, as you well know, the team here at Team Paducah is pretty special, and I'm just honored to be a part of it and appreciate the work that each of them do, and they put a lot of hard work into it, a lot of thought, and then also to keep to the thing that I've challenged, and I know the challenge was there and the culture was here, is that we need to always be aware and that these are public dollars that we're entrusted with and how best to use those. And, the priorities that you've set and the work that they've done and the things that they bring forward keeps that at the forefront. And so I'm excited about going through the process with you on the 4th and the 5th as we set the new priorities. But also, I think it also aligns with what you said earlier, Mayor, about our previous conversation today with the Quilt Show, is that, we had an opportunity to work together in a collaborative partnership to come up with a solution that meets everybody's needs, but it also saves the city taxpayer dollars in that solution. And so the solution that we arrived with in that partnership allows us to be good stewards of those public funds. That's all I have.
That's good. Thank you. Comments from commissioners? None? Okay, then I think we're going to go into executive session tonight, so City Clerk, would you please read?
A proposed motion of the Board of Commissioners to go into closed session for discussion of matters pertaining to the following topics: issues which might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or disciplining of an employee as permitted by KRS 61.8101F.
So moved.
Second.
Do first and a second.
Please call roll.
Commissioner Galt?
Aye.
Commissioner Guess?
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Bray?
Aye.